Welcome to the podcast. My name is Jamie Knight, and I'm a realtor with a Real Broker right here in Cajun Country, Lafayette, Louisiana. The goal of this podcast is to provide massive value by bringing insider access to our area's top agents and find out how they've been able to achieve massive success in their business. My hope is that you take away a few things from their experiences to grow your own business. My guest today is a friend and fellow real agent, Jessica Broussard. Jessica is a top producer who works mainly in the new construction sector. She's a busy mom of three who juggles family life and her husband's successful home building business. She's the founding member of Real Luxury in Louisiana. Welcome to the podcast, Jessica.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. I'm excited to have you. And I finally got you nailed down, and I finally got you on the podcast. I'm so excited to have everybody hear your story. So give us a little bit of the backstory of how you got into the real estate business and how you came to us in Louisiana.
Okay. Well, first, thank you for having me. If anybody knows me, they know that I hate public speaking. So this has taken a very long time for me to get behind this mic, but I do appreciate the opportunity, Jamie. I got started in real estate. This year will be 13 years since I have been licensed in Louisiana. And it's funny because I did not grow up around the Acadiana area. I am a Georgia girl through and through. Go Dogs.
Okay. I think that's the first time I heard that.
Yeah, no, go Dogs all day, every day. So I am from Savannah, Georgia. I went to Savannah College of Art and Design. I was studying fashion design. That's what I wanted to be when I grow up, was a fashion designer. And long story short, Hurricane Katrina hit. My parents, who worked for FEMA at the time, were called to work in New Orleans, and they were in charge of rebuilding the schools that were destroyed throughout the state of Louisiana from Katrina and Rita. So while I was in school there, I was in my junior year, and my parents called me one day and said, "You need to get down here. They need our help. The city is ravished from Katrina, and they need all hands on deck." So I packed up everything and went to New Orleans and helped with the rebuilding efforts with my parents.
Nice. So then how did you get into the real estate business from there?
So I lived in New Orleans for about 5 years in Jackson Square, lived in the Pentalba. It was great. I fell in love with Louisiana, the culture, the saints, the people, the food, especially after Katrina. Just the camaraderie and the people after Katrina. It was so lively there. And after I had my first son, who's now about to be 16, after I had him in New Orleans, it wasn't the safest place to raise a baby. So we decided to move to from New Orleans to Lafayette. We just figured that was a better place to raise a family. So that is what got me from New Orleans to Lafayette.
Gotcha.
And then when I got here to Lafayette, I was actually a property manager for a commercial building, which got me familiar with how real estate works. And I had a couple friend agents and would kind of see their day to day, and they encouraged me to get my real estate license.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice. Cool. And you started off kind of at a, let's talk about that other brokerage because Cody mentioned it last podcast. He said you were basically with the Yankees of the real estate, right? We have a big local company that was started by just a great brand and super well respected.
Yeah.
And you started there. So what did you learn there? We had talked a little bit earlier about like the way you dressed, or how did that look like in those early days?
Yeah. So the first company I was with in real estate for my first 12 years in real estate, I was with the same brokerage. It was very corporate feeling. It felt like you were walking into, a New York City building to go to work every day. And everybody was always dressed to the nines. And our management there always expected you to look a certain way and carry yourself a certain way. And you were not allowed to walk in the office with yoga pants on and a tank top on coming from the gym. It was not, that was not the brand. So they just taught me early on that, it's how you carry yourself, get up every day, dress for success, show up. And that really stuck with me throughout real estate. I still continue that till this day. I get up every day, hair done, makeup done, and I dress up because you just never know when you're going to get that phone call to go show $1 million house. You always have to be ready.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I love that. Yeah. A lot of our office mates, and I definitely see that around the office, is everyone in the office like really cares about the way they're presenting themselves. And I love that about our team. It's not like, you got a bunch of sloppy
You don't just
people
roll out of
hanging
bed and show up to work. That's
Yeah.
not how real estate works.
Especially top producers, right?
Yes.
And look, I mean, there is some people who do sell a lot of real estate
and good for them. If it works, hey.
in what a little beachy polo or whatever. But yeah, I love that you and a lot of the other agents and Paige Gary, if you want to go back and listen to hers, was Dress for Success. And I know you and Paige kind of work hand in hand together with a lot of things.
Yeah.
So that's awesome that you took that from those original days. But what brought you to Real, I guess? Let's go there.
Yeah. So what brought me to Real, I had a fellow Real, I can just say her name, Jaylyn.
Yeah.
Jaylyn approached me. She's been a good friend of mine for years and years. We've never worked at the same brokerage before, but the day that you guys found out about Real, Jaylyn called me out of the blue and she was like, I have to meet with you right away. And so she approached me about this model. And it took me 3 months for this. After she approached me, it took me 3 months to be like, okay, I'm finally going to do this. But
right, I mean, you were there for 12 years.
Yeah,
I'm like, I was at my original
not a
brokerage for
broker
18.
jumper.
Yeah.
I did not jump around from brokerage to brokerage.
Right.
There's a lot of agents that do that, and good for them. But I was always very committed to my brokerage. They were awesome. They still are awesome. They're a great company.
Right.
I have nothing against them. It's strictly the model is what brought me here. The fact that I can have multiple revenue streams. The amount of money that I was leaving on the table.
Right.
We advise our buyers and sellers to never leave money on the table, right? And so it goes the same in business too. And I was seeing the amount of money I was leaving on the table at that time, and it just did not make sense for me to stay there. And like Sean says, a lot. He says we don't want to sell transactional real estate forever. We want to be able to spend extra time with our kids and travel the world and do all these extra things while still having income coming in.
Right.
And so that was a really big eye opener. At this point in my career, I felt like this model was better for me.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel the same way. I love the original brand that you came from. I think we have a lot of friends that are still at that brokerage. And,
Yes.
and for us, I love that none of us at Real, we've come from different places. None of us talk bad about our old brokerages.
Oh,
We're
no.
like, hey, we appreciate where we came from. They taught us this. We took that with us. Now we're, just leveling
The
up.
training that I came from is second to none. I mean, that is where they thrive at in the market is training. But you get to a certain point in your career where you don't need the training. Not that you don't need it, but you need different kind of training.
Right.
You're not utilizing all the sources that you're paying for out of your check.
Right.
And so I was getting to a point where I paid for a full-time assistant out of my pocket. I didn't need an input department. I was paying for a full-time marketing girl following me around. I didn't need their marketing department. So all these things that I was paying for, I wasn't utilizing. And so that was another reason of me making this make sense to make the switch.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I mean, I could see why it took you a little time too, because you got a lot going on.
Yes.
You have deals in the works, you have a lot going on, and for realtors, we always have stuff going on,
Right.
especially top successful realtors. You always have something going on.
You're always going to have stuff in the pipelines.
And it's never going to be a good time to
Right.
move a brokerage
Yes.
either.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, at what point do you say,
Yep.
okay, time to put my own business first in this scenario and
That's
set
right.
up my own self for retirement and put myself in the best
You
position?
just have to make that jump, because people are probably listening right now thinking about making that switch or making a switch, not necessarily to Real, but to another brokerage, and they're waiting for a reason. There is no reason. If your gut is telling you that you need a change, do it. I needed a change in my business. I needed to put fire under my feet to further my business and build my pipeline and boost. When I moved to Real, it boosted not only my confidence, but it boosted me meeting other agents in the office, them networking and pushing my listings. I'm pushing their listings. It's really a group effort when you get in front of the right people and you work with the right people.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Because there's definitely a lot of collaboration around the office.
Yes.
You know, we're always grabbing coffee or talking about this or talking about that. And it's so nice to kind of have this office community and have like a physical office space.
Absolutely.
Too. You know, some real models in Nationwide don't have that physical office space. And
Yes.
that's one thing that we felt like it was important when we moved from the original company, which was District South, to Real. We wanted to keep the office space. So we have that. And that's been a place that, you know, you and I connect, and you and Jaylen connect, and Paige and everybody.
All of our office mates.
Yeah,
yes.
for sure. So talking a little bit about Real, let's talk about Real Luxury. So this is something brand new that just came out, and you're the first one in Louisiana that picked that up. So tell us about what that looks like.
Okay, so I am actually a founding member in Louisiana. It is a membership that has to be earned by selling a certain number of luxury properties in a 2-year period. So the designation that I received after I qualified is a certified luxury home specialist.
Okay.
So I have access to over 100,000 global luxury agents, specialized training, and high-profile advertising in the Mansion Global magazine and the Wall Street Journal. So I have access to get any of my luxury listings out there globally. It's been great. We have access to cutting edge tools to keep our listings on the forefront worldwide. So it's really great. I'm still learning a whole lot, and I feel so honored to be in the presence of these luxury agents. I've been in a few mastermind groups already. We have monthly mastermind group meetings through Zoom, and some of these agents I work with, I'm like little old me.
Little old Jessica.
Yeah, and they talk about their backstory or like what deals they're working on. And, you know, there was this guy that we had to go and do an introduction and kind of introduce ourselves and tell one funny thing that's happened to us in our real estate career. And this guy had just closed the owner of Billabong,
Okay.
the surf company, the clothing and all
Right.
that. He had just closed his house in Hawaii. And so I'm like in the presence of these people, and they're just brilliant. And I'm so excited to learn from them. And every single month and all the things we do together, it's just such a huge learning experience. And I'm so excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, for sure. And I know that you would be open to chatting with anybody that might have some interest in Real Luxury who's listening to this around the nation.
Absolutely.
So we're going to put Jessica's contact
Yeah.
information. So reach out to her on social if you have any interest in like Real Luxury and what that looks like, or if you are an agent that's selling a lot of real estate and you want to be a part of what's going on in this brand new sector, you might be the first one in your state. So definitely reach out
Correct.
to
You might
Jessica.
qualify and you don't even know it. So there's just a few small requirements, but reach out to me and I would love to tell you what those requirements are and put you on the right path to apply.
Cool. Yeah, I appreciate that. And that, you know, that's just the awesome thing about our office is everyone is so open and willing to chat and share ideas, even if you're at a different brokerage, if you're, you know, anywhere. We're just here to help people, you know?
Yep.
So, you know, I heard the other day and I loved it. It was on a podcast. Somebody said people move brokerages 2, 3, 4 times in their careers, potentially over the long term.
Yeah.
We're just here to help you through the time that, you know, and hopefully if you choose to make a move, then that you consider us. But if you don't, that's okay. We're still going to be friends.
That's right.
We're still going to
We're
root
all
for
in this
you.
together at the end of the day.
For sure. And that's the best way to do it. And that's what I love about top producers is, I mean, I rarely make a phone call and reach out and somebody's like, oh no, I don't want to do that.
Right.
Like people are like, I'm willing to share. I'm willing to give
Absolutely.
my
Ask
ideas.
away. I'm an open book.
Yeah. And I love that. So let's get into kind of what you're doing in new construction. Tell us a little bit about that and give us some nuggets there that maybe realtors who are listening that they may not know, like differences between a spec and a custom, or just tell us about new construction and or maybe even rope in like what they could do to get a builder if they're interested.
Yeah. So my day to day, it's pretty much consistent at this point. So after dropping kids off at school, I directly head to my job sites. My husband is a builder of 24 years here in the Lafayette area, and he builds great houses, and he has a great reputation in town. So I help him with kind of just making sure things are running smoothly on the job site. I will meet with tile installers, electricians to go over lighting heights, and I will go make all the selections and finishes that go in these houses. So depending on how many houses we have going on at a time, my day can be a little chaotic, but it's all about timing so that I'm not overwhelmed. I'm not choosing 4 houses of selections in one day because that could be exhausting.
Right.
So I try to spread that out and try to do maybe 1 or 2 a week. Like I said, it just depends on how many houses we have going on. But that is where I start my day, is on the job sites. I'll get everybody kind of settled, and then I'll head into my office and start doing my office work here.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, Chad, for any of the local agents, if you haven't seen Chad Broussard's work, he is one of my favorite builders in town. He just builds an amazing product, and he's constantly, cutting edge stuff. So he is, he's awesome. And I'm sure that has a lot to do with Jessica's,
well, that's,
eye
his
on
designs
certain things
these days. It really does. It's really all Chad. I wish I could take, a lot of the design work inside the house is a lot of my ideas, but we went through a very slow market the last couple years. And so what we did was we went back to the drawing board, and we decided that we needed to introduce a new product to the market, and we had to be different because we were finding you had to have something special in this market in order to sell. And so we took the time in the down market, got with our architect, and got some really cool ideas. After we traveled, we traveled to a few different places to get some inspiration and outside of the marketplace.
Sure.
And brought that back here, had our architect incorporate that into our new home designs. And when I tell you the first house that we built, that we introduced this new style, the community loved it. We got amazing feedback. We had, so many calls of people wanting us to build for them. And it's just been great. It's been awesome. But I think Chad and I make a great team.
Y'all do because for sure. And I've done several deals with you guys through the years.
Thank you.
And it's just a pleasure to deal with both of you guys because y'all just are a great team.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about you guys are doing more specs or customs. What are you doing? And tell us what the difference is for somebody who may not know.
Okay. So right now we're 50-50. We have, the same amount of custom houses as we do spec houses right now. So the difference on a spec house versus a custom house is a spec house. We already have all the designs and selections chosen before we even pour the slab. So buyers can come in and maybe make a few selections. We always tell them if it hasn't been installed yet, it can still be changed. So that's one way, like if you're walking through a new construction house and you're wondering, well, can I change this or can I change this? Has it been done yet? If it's been done, then more than likely you can't change it without having to pay for that change. I mean, everything's possible, right? But we choose everything on the front end because there's certain things that our subcontractors need to know before they can start. And then a custom house is where, the client usually brings us their own plan, and we sit down with them, and it's a long process of going through, redlining the plan and going through every little detail in each room, where it's the buyer's ideas to make those changes and build it the way that they want it. So that's the difference between spec and custom.
Right. And there's some differences in deposits with that as well.
Yeah. So keep in mind, if you make any changes on a spec house, like let's say you want to upgrade the tile or you want to change a paint color or you want to do any of that, your deposit becomes non-refundable in a lot of cases. In a custom home, your deposit is also non-refundable because basically a builder is starting a house from the ground up for you. And if a builder had to go and put that house back on the market for some reason, if you can't close on that house, it's custom to your liking and your taste, the deposit stays with the builder because they could have some days on market that the builder has to potentially sit on this house because it was designed for somebody else.
Gotcha. Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about the communication process through the build process. What does that look like for you guys?
So we like to, I'm a huge texter. I've always been a big texter, but because I live such a busy life and sometimes it's quicker to get one question answered through a text message. And we also like things in writing.
Absolutely.
In real estate. So
and in building a home.
Yes. Sometimes we hear clients say, well, I didn't think it was that, or, so if you have something in writing, it's clear as day. it's funny because we have this saying that we say buyers are liars. We joke around, but when you have it in writing, it's clear for both parties of
Right.
what was agreed upon. So we communicate through text, emails. If you prefer a phone call, we can do that as well. But through each phase of our building, from the slab to framing to sheetrock and all of that, we always meet with our clients through each phase and have them walk through the house with us just to make sure nothing was missed. You know, if we need to add a receptacle here or a pot filler here, those kind of things you want to talk about on the front end before sheetrock goes up.
Right.
Because otherwise you're busting open sheetrock and you're paying your painter for patches, and it's just a big mess where we could have all of that stuff done walking through the house on the front end.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. So for somebody who may be listening right now that may be interested in getting into representing a builder or helping a builder, what kind of information or help would you give them to potentially get a home builder?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would recommend driving through the new subdivisions where the builders are building in, local builders are building in, and reach out to them, or if they have representation, reach out to their agent or whoever their representative is and ask if you can host open houses for them. Can you share their listings on social media? Those type of questions, and be consistent with it. Don't just do it one time and think that you're going to build this reputation with this builder, because you never know the builder's situation that they're in. You never know if they're unhappy with their current representation,
Right.
or they don't know who to call, or, so you just be consistent, get to know the areas, know the comps, know what value you can bring to that builder if you were to represent them, whether it be I can help choose design selections, or I'm really great at marketing, or I know the build process. I've built a home before. I've helped my parents build a house. I know the process of building. The more you are familiar with the home building process, the better off you're going to be in helping your builder. So I would say for sure, just staying in front of them. There's a lot of builders these days that I find that have those limited, I don't even know, the limited service listings,
Right.
where they just pay a flat fee to put it on MLS and, wait for an agent to bring them a buyer, which may work for some of them. But at the end of the day, that builder's not getting any kind of marketing out there while the house is being built to line them up their pipeline for future builds, right? So bring your value in that and reach out to those builders that have those type of listings where maybe they're just housed on the MLS, but there's nobody pushing them. I would recommend, reaching out to them and letting them know the value that you bring.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and in the office meeting, because we actually had a recent office meeting, and Jalen led that.
She did awesome.
And she did amazing.
Yes.
But one thing that she said, which I thought was a cool strategy too, is she said, hey, if you are hosting an open house and maybe it's not the right house for that particular buyer, get their information. Or maybe they like a lot of things about the house, maybe some of the features or some of the way that the builder does things,
Yes.
that likes the style
Absolutely.
that builder has. Have them build with that builder.
Yes,
Have
because
them do a custom or
love
another
that.
lot.
Yeah, I love that advice from Jalen, because builders are always, they have lots in their archive. And so they're not going to just build houses on every single lot that they own. They're going to wait and see, hey, can I build for another person? Maybe this house doesn't work for them. They don't like the way that this door opens, or because there's certain things in a house, in a spec house, that you cannot change. Floor plan, we cannot change that on a house that's already built. If it's a paint color, just ask. It's a 50-50 shot. If it's a tile selection, just ask. It's a 50-50 shot. But if you are like, I just don't like the way this house flows to this bedroom, I'd like to change this, but I like everything else overall.
Yeah.
Reach out to that builder and see if they can build it on another lot for you. There's always a shot that they can. But one thing you never do if you're working on a open house for a certain builder, never take them to other houses on the market. Competition, maybe.
Gotcha.
That's one thing that it's like, oh, well, this house is open across the street. Let's go look at this one, because you're there representing that builder. You should have their best interests at heart at the end of the day. And that builder's more than likely paying you at the end of the day. So
yeah, and that's great advice, because a lot of realtors are just like squirrel.
Well,
just
exactly,
go
and they're just
anywhere,
looking to make a sale.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, you have to understand, especially if you're consistent sitting in this builder's open house, you want to sell that builder's open house. You want to sell their house, not just any house on the market to to sell a house. Unless they ask you to. Obviously, you have to do what your client wants you to do. If they're asking to see a house, then yes, you have to go take them to see that house.
Yeah, and knowing anything and everything that's possible with that builder, knowing some of their process helps, and knowing like what they do well helps.
Yes.
You know, I might bring somebody in a Chad Broussard house and be like, that's a Chad Broussard house because of that style of, you know, trim that he used to put in there. He rounded different things. And again, y'all brought some of these features to Lafayette that weren't even in Lafayette. And then it was just like I could see, okay, that's Chad's because he just does that, and it just looks so good. And they spend so much time on the finish work of it looking like really high quality and good. Yes. So some of those things, and that's where like a builder, an agent who's interested in representing a builder might say, hey, this builder does this well.
Right.
So if you want that.
Yeah, I think every builder that we deal with in town, they all have their own, you know, kind of niche for what they do. And they all specialize in something different. So, but, you know, if you're looking for a builder, if you're looking to build, definitely interview, you know, your potential builder and ask around for people that have built with that builder before and make sure that they have a good experience, because you're basically married to that builder for the next 6 months to 8 months, sometimes a year on these builds. And so you know, personalities have to match and expectations, and you have to trust your builder. You cannot babysit the builder. You can't text him and say, hey, why isn't this done? Or, hey, are we ready for this? Because the builder's got it. Sometimes you have to sit back and watch the magic happen.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
So I know we've talked a lot about new construction, but let's talk a little bit about your clients and all of those things. What do you like? How are you staying in touch with your clients? Like, what does that look like from your client standpoint?
Yeah, so I'm huge on social media. I pay a marketing company. I know where my strong suits are, and so I don't try to do my own marketing online because it would look terrible. So I pay good money to hire a nice marketing company who they take very good care of me and have built my brand. I've made sure everything looks consistent, and just staying on top of you know, for my clients, staying on top of what's going on in the market and keeping them up to date. But not only social media, I also do email marketing. I do postcards. I call and check in with clients. I'm ninja trained. I don't know if you're familiar with the ninja, but I'm a ninja. And so one thing that I learned and was taught there that I've tried to stick with is mailing out 3 thank you cards a day, or just like checking in cards to clients. It doesn't even have to be a client. It can be a friend. It can be just somebody you were thinking of driving to your office that day. It's just basically staying in touch with them. And then they have another system that they like to implement it's like roulette on your phone. You go through your phone contacts and you just do a roulette and you see who it lands on, and whoever it lands on, you have to call them that day.
I gotcha.
And ask how they're doing. How is their family? How are their kids? You saw that they got a new puppy on Facebook. You know, all these things that kind of spark interest and dialogue. And, you know, I think just staying relevant to your clients is huge. So, you know, it's not all about social media. It's about the personal connection that you have with people as well.
Yeah. And I love that you use social media in reverse, because I say that a lot too.
Yeah.
I'll see somebody, like you said, brand new puppy, something like that. And it'd be like, I'll be like, hey, how's that brand new baby?
It's a great conversation starter. Yeah. You have to have something to break the ice. Yeah. And they like that you notice that. Oh my God, he's asking me about my puppy. Yeah. You know, so you have to be personable. Yeah.
And I love that. For me too, like, and I use, like, I'll see something that somebody cherishes on social media, right? I'll go and, you know, you hate to call it Facebook stalking, but I mean, if you see, you know, a client or friend or whatever, you know, you go look
see what they're doing, or like their trip that they just took. You want to see what their trip was about, right?
And you see their trip, and you say, like, man, that had to have been awesome. How was it to go to Belize or whatever?
Yeah,
like,
you have to give me all the recommendations.
Yeah, exactly. I want to know. Yeah, but like finding that one thing, I think that people like really cherish in their lives. Yeah. Once you touch on that, like it's like.
You've got their hearts. You've tugged at their heartstrings,
and then you could talk. They could talk for an hour about kayaking or about, you know,
it's like they're just waiting on somebody to ask them. Yeah, you know, and then it's like the conversation goes on, and it's like, I thought you would never ask.
Yeah. I was in a meeting. That's funny. I was in a meeting with a couple of agents, and we were at a coffee shop, and it was a small town. So somebody walked into the coffee shop, and he was just kind of sitting there, kind of moping around,
Yeah,
like kind
not
of
very
not
talkative.
very talkative. We were talking to him and like, how's the business or whatever. I think he was in some kind of like food industry. I was like, yeah, it's okay. It's good. I mean, you're talking about business,
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, it's fine. I was like, okay, this guy's. And then one of the people at the table say, hey, I heard you got a kayak. And he said, once he said that,
his eyes lit up.
Yeah, it just lit up about the kayak, this, that, and the
Oh my
other. We
gosh.
kayaking down this river, and we were on
that's
False
awesome.
River. Just like, it was like the whole, like,
Yeah.
he just like, demeanor completely changed,
Yeah.
smile big as can be.
Isn't that funny?
Once you kind of find that one thing that you hit on that they're interested in.
Yep.
So it was like, when I tell agents, I'm like, just sit back and listen sometimes. And if you can listen, you can find that little nugget of information
right.
that Jessica is excited about.
Yep.
This next time you see Jessica, ask her
about it, or pick up the phone
about
and call.
Georgia,
Right?
ask her
Yeah.
about the Bulldogs,
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
or something like that. But just something like that where you know that one thing about her, and,
Right.
and it's interesting, and you can call and call her after the big game and
That's
say, hey
right.
girl, that's
How about them dogs?
how about them dogs?
Yes.
But that's just funny, and it's awesome that you're doing that, because that's that's funny.
It's important.
Another thing you do, and we were joking about this, is a firm handshake.
Yes, I love a firm handshake. If you're meeting somebody for the first time, male or female, firm handshake, because it's first impression.
Right.
Right? So it's almost like the way you dress and you present yourself if you're going to meet somebody for the first time, or we get cold calls all the time, and we're going to meet random people.
Right.
It's first impression. And so handshake is the same. I like a firm handshake. I think it goes a long way. And it shows a respect issue too. Like, you respect the person on the other
Yeah.
side, and the person on the other side
Respects
respects
you.
you as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So when somebody gives you like the dead fish, you're
Yeah,
like,
I
oh
don't
my
like
God, here we go.
the limp hand. It's like, let's try that again.
Yeah, let's go again. Yeah.
Firm handshake.
I like that. Well, look, we're getting close to wrapping it up. Tell us.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah. Tell us one more little encouraging thing. If I'm a new agent and I'm listening to this podcast, and I'm hearing what you're putting down, and I'm enjoying what you're putting down, give me a little bit of words of encouragement that you might give to a brand new agent in the business. What would you tell them?
I would say always put in the work. Even if you don't have anything on your calendar that day, you don't have any showing scheduled, you don't have any appointments, you don't have any training or, continuing education to complete, just always show up to your home base office or go to an agent caravan, go visit open houses. Always keep real estate in your business, because that is the biggest motivator. You get into a routine, and we are creatures of habit. And the more you get into a routine of doing something, just becomes like second nature. And so just always show up every single day, even if you don't feel like it. Even if you don't feel like putting on makeup or throw a hat on, whatever it is, but just show up every day and act like you are working.
Yeah. Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I've heard too, like, if you put in 40 hours a week, you'll have the most successful career in real estate ever.
There's no days off. If I don't have my day started by like 7:30 in the morning, my whole day's ruined. I don't know what I'm good for after that.
Yeah.
So, I wake up early. I spend time with my husband in the morning before we get started. We both talk about our day, and then we both go on about our day too. And so, I'm lucky I get to work with my husband on a daily basis. And, once he's out the door, I'm taking the kids to school, and then I'm back to seeing him again. So it's great. But just show up. Show up for your clients, show up for your friends, show up for your colleagues, be supportive. And, eventually the tracks will start clicking, and you will start seeing more and more improvement in your business.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. That is great advice. And I appreciate you and your friendship and being around the office. And I am, growing, just being in proximity to you. So I hope that realtors around the nation, if you're hearing this, reach out to Jessica. She'd love to give you some encouragement. Or if you're working with a builder, or if you're curious about how you might get a builder, reach out. I'll put her contact information in the details of the podcast.
Yeah.
So again, thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. That was so fun.
So much. I really appreciate it. And I hope that you guys have an amazing day.